Hmm. Yes. Had to get this. Had to get this ready. Had to get this ready. Welcome back, people. Welcome back. It's back for some more chilled, chilled, chilled evening chats. I want to do a chilled evening chat, and this is going to be hard to do because if you're an outsider looking in, you're probably quite chilled as it is anyway. So that's all right for you guys. But if you're a Manchester United fan, we're taglines the Red Devils, right? Well, I guess if you are associated to Manchester United, then you are a devil because you're going to hell. Mm-hmm. You're going to hell. My word. My oh my oh my. The things that we have had coming out today. If it doesn't rain, it pours with Manchester United. We're going to try and not keep this all about Man United. We're going to talk about some other things as well. I want to talk about other things as well. Yeah, it's on the thumbnail, right? What's going on this week? What's going on here? We're going to have a look around and see what else is going on at other clubs and discuss things, try and lessen the sting that is having to associate to my football club. What I'm going to do is get the tough talks out of the way first. We're going to get the tough talks out of the way first. So there's Jadon Sancho's situation. Fabrizio Romano has issued an update on the what he calls the tense standoff between the two parties, and that they will look to be in contact across this next week or two to try and resolve the tensions and find a way to try and coexist and move on from this. We'll have to see how exactly those talks look to happen. We'll have to see what the outcome of those discussions will be. It's more unnecessary beef that this club just really, really doesn't need. We don't need this. We don't need this beef. Surely we don't need this beef. It's not just beef that we're being served off. It's not just the beef. It's beatings as well, supposedly. Beatings as well, and supposedly a third woman's come forward with this Anthony case. A third woman. So I didn't even know that there was a second woman. I didn't even know. But apparently now we've jumped to three women now. But when one opens up, the second one will, then the third one, then the fourth one, and it'll go on as many women as have been impacted. It's not so much factual. We don't really know truthfully what the situation of the matter is, but it's a serious matter nonetheless. So we're sort of having to look at this situation as a whole and really sort of, I don't know, not jump to conclusions. We've literally just come out the other end of, I say we've come out the other end of the Mason Greenwood situation. That's probably going to rear its ugly head again when we get to a season later, a year later. It's probably going to rear its ugly head again. It's probably going to be a lot of people unhappy about what's going on. I think a lot of people are very reserved to the prospect that he's definitely going to come back. And do you know what? I'm sort of in that camp as well. And it's not because they're ready to actually forgive Greenwood or, give him a fresh start, a clean slate, or anything like that. It's all to do with the money side of things, right? All to do with the money side of things. All to do with the money. But look at all the other atrocious things that are happening at this club. How many atrocious things. And the Anthony situation, a lot of people was just like, bro, what is going on at United? It's not even just that. It's the fact that the club today have come out. They had come out, or I say they revealed it. I think someone else revealed it. That what was it? I need to remember his name. That scumbag's name. That turned up to a women's team's game. And you're thinking, oh, someone turned up to a women's team game? Well, what's that about? Wow. It was announced, or not announced, but they were made guest of honor, according to sources, according to reports. They were the guest of honor in attendance to a game. Right? Let me have a look here. I can't find it on where I'm scrolling, which tells me they don't want to say anything about it. Why not? Why do you not want to talk about it? No clue whatsoever. All I know, I can't remember how the friggin' hell you spell his second name or how it's pronounced. It starts with a K, but his first name's Jeff. Jeff, like the same spelling as Jeff Shreves. But Jeff, former goalkeeper, not goalkeeper, what am I on about? The former women's team coach, right? Because Man United women's team, I think, or something like that. Years and years and years and years and years ago, was convicted of multiple counts of child sex offences, paedophiliac activities, convicted, proven guilty, and served prison time. A disgraced person, a disgraced human being. Yet last season, he was invited to a women's team's game and was made guest of honor. The club, have come out and stated, we apologize that this happened. We didn't know what he had done. How could you not know? He's played a very pivotal part in your club's history. A very big part in your club's history. How can you be an employee of the club and not know about what's happened in your history? It's like half of these people, something tells me that half of these people that work at our club don't actually care. They couldn't be bothered to do any insight, any research on what job it is that they're doing, what club it is they work for, its history. Because usually, right, when you start a job for a company, you get the sort of brief rundown and everything. But you've got all the information there. There's the option to read, fine print, fine details, all of that stuff, all of that good stuff, right? You get the chance to read everything. It's like everybody that started in big decision-making roles at this club, right, has gotten their jobs and taken the instructions manual or the history books and everything and just gone, nah, I don't need to read that. I'm like, hold on a second. But we're fast forward to 2023. We're seeing that your lack of knowledge of what this club stands for, right, the history of this club, has no significance to you whatsoever. Holds no significance to you. So you act all ignorant to it. So that's happened today. Big T, good to see you, mate. What's up? What's up? Sounds like some of them hang around with the BBC lot, mate. The amount of people that are at this club, I mean, we've got the Glazers, who are Epstein recipients. They love Epstein, Jeffrey Epstein, their best buddy. I mean, fuck me. The state of that ownership. I mean, they hang around with the paedophilia, it seems. Got Richard Arnold, who's spineless, literally spineless. Makes no. It's not that he makes bad decisions. He makes no decisions, right? He makes no decisions. No big calls, no big decisions, no spine to him. Just can't do anything. And the fact is that he has overseen the allowances for a convicted criminal, right, of underage sex offences to waltz in as guest of honour to a women's team's game. There's a lot of things in life that you don't do. You don't do. This is one of them, right? This is one of them. Honestly, when I read that, I wanted to pack it in and stop supporting this club. I wanted to stop. And maybe a moralistic side to me tells me perhaps on the basis that me supporting a club enables the people to keep doing stupidity at this club, perhaps is a drawing factor to me actually stopping supporting this club, right? To stop supporting it, let it just rot away until those fuckers are gone, right? Because honestly, I don't know what to think anymore. I don't know what to think. I'm under some mad crazy assumption now that there might actually be a crime gang working doing business for Manchester United. What? Tell me otherwise. I mean, we already question whether it's even a football club to start with the way that the football team gets run. But now we see some of the most questionable shit happening. It's like, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? I don't understand this anymore. It's like, I mean, Christ Almighty, it makes no sense. It really, really doesn't make any sense. Like, I'm just at a loss for words. It's like, cool if you make a bad decision. Let's say make a bad decision, impacts the club negatively, puts us into a bit of a deep hole, bit of a sticky situation. If it's like football related and all of that stuff, right? Cool. Get yourself out of it and hold your hands up, say, look, I'll take accountability for what I've done here, made a mistake, put the club into a spot of bother. I want to make sure it doesn't happen again. That's cool. That's fine. We'll all move past it. We'll all get past it. We might be angry in the moment, but we'll all get past it. Like I've said, there's some things in life that you just don't ever do. You never ever do. It's like Manchester United deciding, you know what? Oh, I tell you what, no, even better. It's like BBC making, what is it, like a one show or something? Making, if he was still around, Jimmy Savile the guest of honor to the one show televised episode or something. Like, have him as guest of honor, man. There's certain things you just don't do. You just don't do it. I mean, fucking hell. I've had exactly the same thoughts of late Fuzz. This club is really testing my loyalty for multiple reasons. And it's like what I've said with the idea if there's like footballing mistakes and decisions, right, that gets made, we'll be angry in the moment, but because it's our club, we love our club, we'll always come back to it. You know, as much as we all joke about it, it's like, oh, it's always pain for United. It's always pain. To a various extent, we could say, look, us losing to Arsenal, oh, it's all a mess, it's all football-related stuff. It's all a mess, right? It's like if we played the Arsenal game, lost that, but had nothing shady, dodgy, questionable happen afterwards. We say, oh, it's always pain for United. Oh, yeah. Mate, we'd be trying to make it a sort of light-hearted, joking matter, but we'd seriously want to see our club come back and start, start playing better, guys. Let's go. Let's Brighton at home next. Let's focus on that. Let's go and actually rectify any problems and go beat Brighton, right? Now we've turned this into a political battlefield. Political battlefield, right? Where the morality of human beings that associate themselves to this club in positions of power are under major, not minor, major scrutiny. We've got problems with ownership. We've already had this year a case which we fully believe that Richard Arnold should have been sacked for poorly handling it in the Mason Greenwood situation. Poorly handled. We now see another case that Richard Arnold's going to have to deal with, which we have no confidence in him dealing with it. We have no faith whatsoever that we're going to see the situation get dealt with properly. Now we're hearing that there's paedophiles convicted and fully well-known paedophiles getting invited and made guest of honors to a women's team game. By the way, it was apparently, I think it was underage girls as well that he committed these offences against. So, yeah. And they made him guest of honor. Like the BBC taking a television show that is aired in a high watch time hour, right? Very busy period on the air, inviting Jimmy Savile to be a guest of honor for one of their shows. Everyone would switch off the TVs. Everyone would be on social medias, calling people saying, I cannot believe what I'm seeing on the TV. Same shit's happening at Manchester United. Seriously. A part of me said this earlier today. Forget sacking these people. Forget sacking them. Get the police and whoever else you need to go and seriously interrogate the fuck out of everybody that works for Manchester United. I would not be surprised if that many cans of worms get opened up. I would not be surprised. I would not. Forget sacking them. Investigate the goddamn lot of them. Investigate them. See just how many crimes or crime-affiliated activities they might be linked to. Because who knows? This happened last season. The way in which the people with power at this club act, the way they deal with decisions, what else are they hiding? What else is under the rugs that are in the living room? You know, what else is hidden inside the mattresses, right? What else is there? What can of worms would be opened if people with positions of power at this club were to be investigated? What would we find? I mean, it's like if you went and investigated the Glazers individually, go look down their track records, their past, their history, you'll probably find all sorts. I mean, we already know that they're tied into affiliations for what is it, mass genocides in Myanmar, I think it is. Bank of Asia the Bank of Asia funded, I think, directly a genocide activity out in Myanmar. The Glazers had ties to that bank, funding war in the Middle East, affiliation to Jeffrey Epstein. There's all sorts, and that's only the stuff we have found. What about everything else that we haven't? And they're still around, they're still doing business, so you probably find the most unbelievable amount of can of worms that you could open up if you did some investigations. And that's the thing that I believe that should be done with the people that run this club, because there's no way. I mean, you could be clueless as to how to run a football club, right? That's one thing on its own. Some of the other shit that you do is a test of human morals. A test of human morals. Just show a moral side to things. Show a common logical side to things. We don't act. Our board doesn't act with common sense. It doesn't act with logic. It doesn't. It favours a big contributive factor to decisions at this club are very monetary motivated. Very money motivated. But then the morals, it's like popping a lead balloon. Or a balloon filled with lead, whatever. Football is the least of the club's issues at the moment. It is. And that's what hurts the most. It's a football club and should only ever be about football. And that's what people say. People say it. I mean, I've heard it from people from other clubs say it. Keep politics out of football. We only care about the sport. Let the sport be. That's what this is. It's sport. We want sport. We want to enjoy sport. We want to view sport. We want to watch sport. We want to talk about sports. Talk about what happens in the battles, the heat of competition, the heat of battle. I don't want to turn. As fans, we don't want to sit here turning every pub chat, every sort of sit around a table kind of chat, or any sort of chat in relation to football. We do not want to turn it into the House of Commons. We don't want to turn it into the House of Commons, right? We just want to enjoy the game that we love. Talk about the pros of our clubs, the negatives of our clubs, what we think would be best for our clubs. We don't want to talk about politics. But these are the cards that have been put on the table by these lot. They are the cards that this board are dealing to this fan base. And when people say the real victims in all of this to do with Manchester United are the fans, this is what we're talking about. The club will take bad politics out there and bring them here. Yeah, they'll take bad politics out there and bring them here. And then they sit there and say, oh, Manchester United fan base, look what's happened in our club. Oh no. Oh, what will we ever do? What will we ever do? I know. Let's employ someone who is a bitch in Richard Arnold, right? He is a bitch, and I will very, very categorically call him a bitch, because, as I've said, it's not that he makes bad decisions, it's that he makes no decisions. Yeah? Everyone else decides for him. That's the biggest takeaways with this. Everyone decides for him. Henceforth, the club were going to allow Greenwood to return. Then everyone said no. That little pussy turned around and decided, okay, you guys win, you guys win. So then he goes the other way and makes it sound like, right? This is the biggest teller. Like, he could have said, we were going to do this, but with the way in which everyone has been, speaking to us, what people have said to us, we believe that, it would be better on everyone else's case that we acted with this, right? That we do this. Instead, it was just like, well, it's all for the best of for everyone. We had our feelings on this. We had our feelings on, like, shut up. You make no decisions. Everyone else makes decisions for you. Everybody does. We have all been hanging on and hanging on, hoping for new owners, hoping all the crap would be over soon. But looks like it's not happening now. Probably never was. And I suppose the question really regarding the ownership side of things is the takeover. I suppose it's a very speculative question. It's a question that sort of provokes a lot of thought. Is there an element to which we can sit here and say this takeover is fake? That based off of what Ronaldo said in his interview where he got sacked soon after, that they wanted to give it as much time as possible, because let's be real, very soon after the takeover, the interview and Ronaldo getting sacked, the club was straight away stuck on the market, very, very soon after the interview. That called out the ownership and said that they're not good for Manchester United. Straight away, all owners are selling. I mean, come on. We really think that they're going to actually act on just what Ronaldo has said? Do we really think so? Just because Cristiano Ronaldo said that we were bad owners, that means we're going to go sell the club now. Now, I believe that if there's anything financially related, that makes a lot more sense. Because let's be real, the amount of money that they've got to put into this club to actually grow, because, people are saying Glazers want 6 billion, they want 8 billion, they want 10 billion. They are taking the club off the markets to sell it in 2025, right? Well, that's what the reports had said. How can a club that's starting, to which its value is starting to diminish, how are you, without spending a dime, going to turn 4 billion valuation into a valuation that warrants 10 billion pound bids? Where is that money going to come from? Where is the valuation going to come from? If anything, will be around 3 to 2 billion valuation by 2025, and Old Trafford might not be fit for use. We might be playing at a different stadium. But that's the thing. To spend money on Old Trafford renovations, you need a lot of money to do that. Where's the money coming from? Because the Glazers aren't paying for it. They will happily see Manchester United have to borrow a stadium. Imagine how ugly this would be. Now, try not to vomit with this. Manchester United, if Old Trafford were tomorrow to be rendered improper and unsafe, unfit for use, we might have to borrow, rights to using the Etihad as a home stadium. Because there's no other venue that's around that size that can facilitate footballing activities in the Greater Manchester area. Everything's much, much, much smaller. Imagine if we see a time like that. Imagine that, Manchester United home game. Where are they playing? Oh, the Etihad. Why? Because Old Trafford's not fit for use. Why is that? Because the Glazers, no one's bothered to actually pay to renovate a stadium that has not seen renovation since the mid-noughties. It's not been renovated. It hasn't been touched since the mid-noughties. Oh, what? Seating planners. Oh, what? Safe standing in stands. We've still got leaks in the roof. We still have leaks in the roof. What's that? We've got Wi-Fi. Oh, fantastic. Now we get to, whilst we're at the games, tweet about how shite this stadium is. And how ugly it is. How rotten, mouldy. Oh, what's that? You look at the amount of piss that's on the floors from leakages. Look at this. Facilities completely ballsed up. It's all just completely just dead in the water. Completely dead in the water. It's definitely bought them some time. I mean, I'll tell you what buys them more time is every time that the fans get rowdy, then come out by saying we're going to sign this player and that player. It's like when we cancelled the Liverpool game. Right? We cancelled the Liverpool game. A lot of people got quite worried with that. They got quite worried seeing us cancel the Liverpool game. Biggest game in this country. From a neutral standpoint. Biggest, most heritage in that fixture. Most tense, or the most hatred, I'd say. Perhaps not on the aspect of competitive, because the best rivalry from competition standpoint was probably the United Arsenal rivalries. But the history between two clubs that are trying to one-up each other, for the longest time, Liverpool and Manchester United. For the longest time. And we spoke in trophies and success. Those were the languages we spoke in. Meanwhile, Liverpool with FSG, right? Don't get me wrong, FSG, awful owners, but FSG would never sit there and allow this happen to their club. They might be tight, purse strings. You want money? You're going to have to do some sell to buys. You have to do this. You have to do that first. Very, very tight with money. Very much penny pinching with FSG. But fuck no, you would not get politics like this. You wouldn't. You just wouldn't. You wouldn't see it at Man City. You wouldn't see it at Chelsea. You wouldn't see it at Tottenham. At least with Tottenham, people who are getting arrested with affiliation to Tottenham, this is after they, I think, have left the club, I believe it is. I think Paratici resigned and then got arrested for criminal activity or something. I think Joe Lewis, as the owner, got something in the US Supreme Courts or something, and is undergoing a process over there with that. But this, with Manchester United, the only club I can see that would do shit like this, like, it's honestly baffling. Like, I have no words. I have no words to describe it. But as much as we can sit here and just rant about everything Manchester United, we'll talk about some other things. I believe Kobbie Mainoo is very, very close to making a return to training by the looks of it, with a cryptic tweet, a cryptic post with a clock on it as his statement. So fingers crossed that is a sign that Kobbie Mainoo back to Manchester United first team training, because let's be real, for a guy that's done so well in pre-season, unfortunately got injured like 2 minutes into the Real Madrid game, that he can come back and actually offer a bit of depth of quality, because God only knows how much or badly we need midfield quality and presence. We've signed Amrabat, who I think offers us something that we've so desperately been craving. But Kobbie Mainoo can offer something along the similar lines that an Amrabat can offer or a Casemiro can offer. Obviously, very, very inexperienced, very, very inexperienced. But if he's got time to bed in, to train, to be involved with the first team setup and get given his minutes over time, that I think he's got the makings to turn into someone quite special in the first team picture. So the only concern I really have for Kobbie Mainoo is his quite potential injury record being a bad one, and being a bad one from early on. So I'm really, really hoping it doesn't come to that. We just have to remember that the badge is more than the current owners and staff. It is. It's more important. It's the badge. The badge represents a legacy and history from the very moment it came to pass. From the very moment it came to pass, that badge will still be there. Was there before anybody who runs this club was here, and will still be here long, long after, long after everybody has left this club. Sounds stupid to some because Mainoo is so inexperienced, but I think he's ready to play regularly in first team. I think it's one of those things with experience. If people say, well, he's inexperienced, cool, give him minutes so that you can get closer to saying, well, he's not inexperienced anymore because he's got minutes. It's like, well, it's one of those points where you say, a player's inexperienced. How do you fix that? How do you make him go from inexperienced to experienced? Give him minutes, give him game time, give him chances, right? So expose him to some minutes. You don't have to play him 90 minutes every week. Make him an impact sub in some games here and there. Start him in some alternative competitions, maybe with Crystal Palace. So, I mean, he'd probably be fit by then. He could play in the Crystal Palace game. I mean, I know it's a big opponent. Maybe you'd want to go with a stronger team than that. But you can expose him to some minutes at various different games around the season, even if it's in a game of significantly more bigger, greater importance. Because if it's a big occasion, it's a test of character too. And a high intensity game, high importance, great build of character. I mean, go reap the rewards for it, even if he doesn't have the greatest game of all time. I mean, the fact that he's played in the occasion, it builds character. It can shape character. The setup that he's got to be surrounded with has got to be a boost of confidence. It's got to be in support of his endeavours. You can mould him into a first team picture. Every now and then a player comes along and breaks the rules. Rooney, for example, yeah. I think Mainoo for his age is ahead of his age like Rooney was. I can definitely see where you're saying that is that player is like, I don't know if you can say Evan Ferguson. I mean, guy, what is he, 18 years of age, is he? I think he is. It might be 19 now. But Evan Ferguson, is playing for Brighton frequently, week in, week out. Playing a role in a Premier League team that you'd usually associate for a guy that's like 24, 25 years of age. But someone who's barely 20, probably not even 20, is already ahead of his years. So I think Mainoo, as young as he is, I think he's got the makings to be a player that perhaps is at a stage of his career where they're around about the 22 or 21, 22 years of age. I mean, like you see where Moises Caicedo is right now with his career. Like maybe he could play as though he has got that kind of experience. But if a player does that, then that's the proof in the pudding of a player having that edge of being a potential potential, keyword here, potential world-class talent. That's what if you see that, that's one of the biggest promising signs for a player that's still undergoing development. Bay has gone to Besiktas. That was a free transfer, which, by the way, we played. We paid I think a small severance fee. I don't know what the figures are around the severance pay. But yeah, he has gone on a free transfer to Besiktas. Let's talk about some other clubs. What club should we start with? Joe, let's start with Tottenham Hotspur. Ange Postecoglou, the big Ange Ball. So Tottenham fans, I think, at the moment are probably being the loudest, I guess. Probably the loudest fans at the moment. I know that's quite tough because, I mean, Arsenal have literally just beaten Manchester United in the league. But I think with Tottenham fans, should they be excited with Ange Ball? I believe there is a genuine right to be excited with Ange Ball, right? It's a new style of play. It's more attacking. It's more front foot. It's less reactive and more proactive. So it's more you go into a game and you anticipate what's going to happen rather than it being you go into a game and expect, right? You anticipate, or you're sat in anticipation, like you don't know what the outcomes are going to be, but you're looking forward to it because you believe you back your team to go and impact the result, directly influence the result, as opposed to playing a more reactive, more sit back, park the bus defensive style and let the game come to you. And it's like, well, where are the big moments going to come from? Who's it going to be? It's going to be Harry Kane, it's going to be Son, it's going to be Kulusevski. Who else is it going to be? I think with Ange Ball and obviously Harry Kane being sold, a lot of people, I've heard some people saying that Harry Kane being sold from Spurs is one of the best things that could have happened to Tottenham. And I wouldn't say that. I'd say it was probably about the right sort of time to call it a day at Tottenham Hotspur for Harry Kane. And I think with Tottenham Hotspur, the club themselves, they needed to come to a point where it's time to evolve the team a bit more. Ange Postecoglou has come in, has imposed his methods, imposed his philosophies, and the club is the club, right? Now we're going to get into perhaps why Tottenham fans should probably keep feet on the ground a little bit here. But I like the fact that despite losing Kane, the sort of players that they brought in, the style of play that they're using, it's quite a ballsy approach. And I think that can only be a positive thing for Tottenham Hotspur in coming from the position that they were in. Because I think they were sort of a similar outlook from a footballing perspective, to Manchester United, where we currently are. It's like, well, where does this team go from here? We desperately need a player here, we need a player there, need a player here, and we need a player there. And, a lot more questions than answers. I think with Ange Postecoglou, there's still many questions to be asked. There's still many questions or answers to be found from these questions. But it's like it's long list of questions that's just been shrunk. So there's plenty more speculative elements about Tottenham Hotspur under Ange Postecoglou. They might have started the league campaign very well. And let's be real, they have. They have started it very well. Because this is a first See, this is literally the first season of Ange Postecoglou. One pre-season with quite a few games cancelled in that. You're basically you're dealing with somewhat of an unknown entity. First game, Brentford away 2-2. You think, oh yeah, Ange Postecoglou is going to really, really struggle. And I thought, as much as some of the play was very good, there's some big major concerns there. And fair play to them. I think the next game they went on to what was it? Got to remind myself of what games it was that they played. I know factually that Tottenham Hotspur played against Burnley in the most recent game and convincingly won theirs. Let's have a quick look here at their results thus far. So yeah, started 2-2 Brentford away. So a tough game away. Right, it is a tough away game, a tough place to go. And Brentford, I think a lot of people, a lot of fans, a lot of clubs are looking at that game and anticipating quite a tough day. Quite a tough day at the office. Next game, Manchester United at home. Obviously battered us in the second half, completely just wiped us out. Another 2-0 result away to Bournemouth. And do you know what? The fact that Tottenham go to away games or they've played 3 away games, right? In 3 away games, what is it? 7. So they scored 9 goals in 3 away games in the league. Cool, they've conceded 4. But plus 5 goal difference with away Prem games. Obviously, the EFL Cup is the EFL Cup against Fulham. They lost that 2-1. That was decided on penalties. So the game finished 1-1 in that. But one thing that was very obvious about that is that the first team and the B team, or the rotation, is not something to write home about for Tottenham Hotspur. The first team is where a lot of joy is going to come from if you are a Spurs fan. And a couple of key players in that team, Yves Bissouma, James Maddison. Those two, I believe, are going to outright be the biggest performers for Tottenham Hotspur across a 38-game season. Will Heung-min Son contribute to the goals element of the team? We could say that he could, or maybe he will. We saw it against Burnley, got a hat-trick. You know, there's been a long time since Heung-min Son has scored goals as freely as that in a game. I think the last time he did that was against Leicester last season. I believe it was Leicester at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. I think that game was a 5. They scored 5 goals and conceded 2 or 3. And I think he got a hat-trick in that game as well. But I mean, straight away, very early on in the season, Heung-min Son's finding some joy in front of goal. I think what Tottenham are going to need is someone who's going to bury chances. And I mean, Richarlison, a lot of people have a lot of things to say about Richarlison. I believe that if you've got a team that creates good chances, big chances, clear-cut chances, that usually it shouldn't really matter who it is that's in front of goal, as long as they've got the eye for goal, and that more times than not, they can convert a chance. I think Richarlison, for what he has shown, is nowhere near the level that Tottenham need. Not to say that he can't do that, because I mean, he does it for the Brazilian national team. But I think what Tottenham need, we saw Son get moved into where Richarlison plays, and almost instantly we saw a goal threat from Tottenham that perhaps we haven't seen for quite a while. And I think it's not because we've got one player for Tottenham that carries them, but that there's a performance from the team that plays a certain way that creates enough good chances that the person that's in the right positions converts those chances, and you see more of these score lines where it's like, take us back to last season. How many times did we sit there in a game and say, or come after a game and say, oh, that should have been like 5, 6, 7, 8 goals scored, but we never did. We never managed it because we were not taking big chances. We were not taking big chances, and then all the other games where we scored fairly, like we scored the amount of goals that we'd expect to with the chances that we created, we didn't create enough big chances. So I think that Burnley result, as an isolated result, I think paints a very, very promising picture. The thing is with Tottenham Hotspur, so there's one key element, one key thing that I think they've sort of not quite clocked it just yet. This season, you've got to play 38 league games, home. How many is it? 60? No, it's not. So it's 19 home games, 19 away games. Play every team, 19 teams twice over. The teams you've played thus far, your most difficult test has been Brentford away. They also are the only team to have gotten something out of that game, which was sharing the spoils, 1-1. No, not 1-1. 2-2, but 1 point apiece, right? So what happens with all of the other tough games? See, I see a lot of people, a lot of Tottenham fans, they are very excited. By all means, be very excited. Look forward to many exciting games, enjoyable football. There's various elements that you've got to be very, careful about. Your big, proper tough tests. Now, maybe you go into these big games and you surprise everybody. Maybe you go and you go and win those games when people expect you not to. Equally, there are games that you say, well, we should win this, and you won't. But there's 2 players in that team. And the reason why there's 2 players in that team that you should be very wary about, if they get injured, you'll lose a very big element of your team. Bissouma and Maddison. Either one of those 2 get injured, you're bringing somebody else in to do a job, right, that we've seen play against Fulham in the EFL Cup and put in a bad performance. And I think to the Spurs fan base, the people that would come in to replace either Bissouma or Maddison are categorically out of favour players as well, that Spurs fans are not, won't be thrilled to see. Maybe they'll say, well, we can get away with a couple of games with this. Maybe. But if you're excited for great things this season, I'd say just slow down. Just keep your mind open to things. I think there's plenty of massive games going to come up in your season where I think you could get stung quite badly. It's like prodding the hive, poking the hive. Might be a couple of games where that happens, absolutely. But personally, I think that you can be excited, absolutely. I think a lot of fans were excited with the United fan base with Erik ten Hag when we started to get wins under the belt, where we started winning games and all of that. We were just like, oh yes, we look forward to seeing how he develops the team as the season goes on. Obviously, we didn't develop the team as we went forwards, as we went on through the seasons, and we're still sort of waiting for a transition into much more of what the sort of football that Ten Hag wants to play. With Ange Postecoglou, he's just started. Give him a little bit of patience. A little bit of patience, right? See where he takes his team. The problem, if there is any problems to go in with transfer windows and saying, oh, we need to sign a player here, we need to sign a player there, Daniel Levy's still the guy that makes your decisions, right? Still the guy that makes your decisions. And I don't believe we will see a Tottenham that is out of the woods until Daniel Levy either changes his philosophies, his work ethic, or leaves. So if Daniel Levy changes or leaves, one of those two things, Tottenham, you can start thinking about a bigger, better future. Until that happens, maybe we sit in the camp and say it's only a matter of time before things start to sour and the club does not help the situation. Daniel Levy does not help the situation, right? By troubleshooting the problems, doing what's necessary, backing the manager to the extent that he needs to be backed at, and then running into fixing what needs to be fixed, basically, rather than going to a transfer window, not being backed, and then seeing the problems that you saw under Conte, the problems you saw under Nuno, the problems you saw under Mourinho. You'll have a more attacking style of play, but the frustration levels, I think, could probably hit similarly, about a similar sort of level. And you know what? I would be happy for you, happy for your fan base, if things start to sour. You keep trying to play some positive football, right? Some good stuff. But it's like the players who are doing it are not good enough. You might turn a more collective attention towards your board, right? And I think that's where the energy for change, the message for change needs to be directed towards. That's where it's got to be aimed at. And I think that if you have, it doesn't help if you've got Conte or Mourinho or Nuno playing bad football, because it's like, we know Daniel Levy is a big problem here, but we're playing so badly. It's like we're not making the best of a bad situation. I think if a manager can help, try and direct the attention away from himself, needs to go and take the fight to teams, but show very clearly and evidently that the players aren't up to the task. So what do? You fix those by selling players and signing better replacements, right? Or improving the quality of depth. If you do that, then obviously the team gets better, team progresses, manager gets better out of his players, gets better out of his team plays better, team goes on to compete against bigger oppositions, tougher oppositions. You overcome those teams and you go on to win trophies, right? But if the manager doesn't get backed, but you can see that he's trying to keep the team facing the right direction, at least then you will know factually there's only one person to blame, Daniel Levy. So Tottenham going in facing a good direction. Don't be too excited about this, but don't be too cautious. But just always remember that you've got Daniel Levy, the person that has contributed to every stage of your failures thus far. Every stage. He has contributed to it in some form. So if there's any other problems, look no further than Daniel Levy. Who else shall we go on to? I want to keep the show as short as I can, so I won't want to go on to I'm going for too long. I'll read some comments here. So Big T says, I think youth players are too protected sometimes. Yeah, they're playing young players in the first team becomes the done thing. Eventually, there is not as much pressure on them when they do. 100%. Yeah, I think too many times, too many youth players in the bigger teams don't get given the break that they need to really see just what they are made of in the first in the first team picture at first team level, because it's different levels from under 21s to first team. They are different levels, and I think you need to let them cut their teeth a bit at the higher level, just really to see what they're made of. Wish we were playing Ange Ball. At least Spurs have an identity. And I think what Ten Hag has said regarding football identity for Manchester United was that he never kept everything the same. Like the football that he played at Ajax, he wasn't playing the same way at when he was at Utrecht. And he comes to Manchester United and he's not going to play the same way as he did at Ajax. And I think a part of me doesn't believe that. Part of me doesn't believe that because it's like, but a way that worked so well for you at Ajax, you would want to try and make it work at Manchester United, right? Because it's at a higher level, Ajax. You've played against some of the biggest teams in Europe in the Champions League and beaten them, right? Convincingly beaten them. Why wouldn't you try to enact a similar approach to a game plan if it worked so well for you at Ajax against bigger opposition? Now, to be fair, it hasn't worked out against some other teams. But I mean, you look at what the game plan at Ajax had done, and you say, well, stick that with even better players, much, much better players, much better squad, and you should get a lot of joy out of that. But then we see that he's had to change it because the team wasn't performing. It was too open at the back, way too open at the back. We're getting battered. Close things up a little bit. And basically just played from having a strong defence. Defence first, everything else later. When Kane thought he was going to City, missed some games, and Son shone. Again, now Kane has gone, Son is shining. I think Kane held Spurs back. Well, it's interesting you say that because I believe in the thing that if there's a target man, if there is a player, striker, that you keep feeding the ball to, it's like there's your focal point. It's everyone servicing one player, right? Because focal point, that's where most of the good stuff of your team comes from, right? And if you've got a world-class player to do that, fantastic. But everybody having to lose something from their game to make it work with the focal point is always going to drop levels elsewhere in the team. And I think what Postecoglou is trying to do with Spurs is actually play a style of football where key players are not just the striker and a star player somewhere else in the team, but actually that players in all different positions can contribute, can go into good spaces, can score some goals. I think that's what Ange Postecoglou has done. And I think that's just what Spurs need, because they need to have essentially 3, 4, 5 different players who are firing on all cylinders, getting goals, doing some damage. But you've got some other key players in that team that help with all the other elements. I mean, Bissouma, fantastic, honestly fantastic player. So glad from a football fan's perspective, so glad that he's actually got the opportunities and the minutes now to show what he can do. So we're now seeing the Bissouma from Brighton, right? That's always a good thing. And James Maddison gives a different element to the Spurs team that they've not had for years, and that's threat from midfield, attacking midfield, right in the middle. They've not had that for years. First part of a journey is heading in the right direction. Spurs will be interesting to watch, absolutely. I think it's going to be a lot of exciting games, even from a neutral's perspective. It's like usually when Spurs play, and they're like one of the only televised games, I think, oh, that's crap. I have to watch boring football. And now it's sort of like, well, actually, no, this might be interesting to watch. This might be interesting to watch just to see what goes on, what happens, what goes down. And I think as a neutral, you're going to get a lot more joy watching Spurs play football this season as opposed to any other season. So It's all good. It's all good. It's all good in the well, not all good, but most of it, most of the key bits are good for Spurs. My concern with us is I see Højlund as a target man, and our wingers, left or right forwards, whatever you call them, won't pass across to him enough. And that is a problem. A lot of what I think the same. I think a lot of what's going to come from Højlund's joy with goal threat is going to come from the middle. And a lot of I've seen a few goals that Højlund has scored come from crosses, right? A cross is straight across the face of goal and he turns them in. Whether he's able to actually contribute in various elements. And do you know what? It's actually quite funny because I saw someone say this earlier. When Højlund signed, someone commented, "Oh, now we've got Højlund. I can't wait for Rashford to go take on 3-4 players and not square the ball to Højlund for an easy tap-in." What happened in the Arsenal game? Rashford could have played a ball in between the lines for Højlund, who would have been one-on-one with the goalkeeper. Instead, he kept it, dribbled with it, and ran into 3 players covering him, right? 1, 2, 3 players all covering him. Can't cut inside because he's marked off. Can't take it to the byline, covered off. Can't play the ball in now, covered off. So he tries to dribble the ball and loses it. So a bit of foresight there for you by someone in the Twitter spaces. So big ups to him for accurately predicting what's going to happen. Chelsea. Let's talk about Chelsea. Now, it's depressing being a United fan watching football. But Chelsea are a different case. Real different case. Interesting case with Chelsea. Really, really interesting case. We're going to need Bruno to forget the Hollywood passes and do the basics efficiently. Get that ball to Højlund. Absolutely, fully agree. Big up, Stephanie Griffiths. Fantastic to see you. Hope you are doing well. Good to see you. Just having a chill chat this evening, Stephanie. We're talking about all things football. Cannot be bothered with Manchester United at the moment. So, yeah, literally got the hard discussions out of the way at the start. And we are sort of relaxing a bit, just chatting about other teams. Picking our brains a bit. But Chelsea, my goodness gracious me. So Chelsea, if I had to summarise them, have a new manager as opposed to last season. The style of football is the same. It's the same. All of this build-up play, all of this fancy passing football, all of that, get all the good work to the final third. Nobody, and I mean nobody, can finish. The final third occurs to this Chelsea team, and it all goes to pot. It all goes to pot. What is going on with the Chelsea team? So, Todd Boehly, with his Gatling gun of transfers, his transfer Gatling gun, basically spraying and praying players all over the shop. Different egos, different minds, different personalities, different legacies, all mishmashed into one team. I thought, this is too much. It's too much. Chelsea are doing too much in the summer transfer window last summer. They had a bad season, very bad season. Obviously, the squad was too bloated. Too many players for a manager to work with, so you never see the best out of any of these guys. So for me, I think Graham Potter, for all of his flaws, I think essentially was just dealt with mission impossible, and sometimes a manager can't work, impossible scenarios. Where I think Chelsea need to go. Now, manager-wise, Pochettino, cool. Keep your Pochettino. Cut that squad down. Size it down. Just a little bit. There's too many players. I mean, as much as they sold that many players, they've signed at about the same amount of players, but with just less egos or lesser known players, lesser quality players, and thought, well, maybe you could work it with that sort of a team. No. And it's brought up by Stephanie Griffith here that Chelsea need a goal scorer to be relevant. Nicholas Jackson had I think, a very impressive pre-season. Comes to the first season, plays against Liverpool. We think, oh, damn, well, this guy can offer something. Then West Ham happens. Okay. Chelsea get a bit of joy against Luton, I think it was. So they get a bit of joy against Luton. Come to Nottingham Forest. Not good. Not good. Not good. Very much the same as what we saw last season. Very much the same. And nobody can finish in front of goal. But then it's like, should we be surprised by this? Should we be surprised? No recognised goal scorer. And for some reason, every player that Chelsea get linked to is not a striker. It's not a striker. It's anybody but a striker. And I just don't understand why they've not gone with a striker, because you just have somebody that with a natural talent for finding the back of the net. It's like straight away you alleviate a lot of the problem. Well, a lot of good stuff from your performances. You alleviate a lot of it. I think obviously Chelsea missing a cutting edge is one thing, but then the rest of the team not contributing anything is that everybody in every position at every level of quality is just not firing in the final third. And I think as much as we sit here and say, well, a goal scorer will make a world of difference for Chelsea, at the same time, the amount of chances that they create and nobody's taken them. How many? It's almost as though most people train at Cobham. They don't train for shooting. They do everything. They cover every base except shooting. They won't go near it. It doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't make any sense. I've considered cutting the badge of my United shirt and sewing it to a normal shirt, keep the badge and throw away the United shirt. I'll tell you what, you probably could do something like that. As a little keepsake kind of thing from a good days. I'll not be surprised if Chelsea get Evan Ferguson next summer. They seem to have a good relationship with his club. I want to check, is Broja fit or is he injured? He's got a knee injury. Okay. Because, I mean, Broja, striker, has done well at Southampton on a loan. Came back, was available last season, and I think it was the season before that. And I think the guy's got some talents to be able to score you a couple goals, right? He should. He's got the ability to score you a couple goals. And where Chelsea are lacking so badly for a striker, right? You would think that Amanda Broja would be getting a lot more minutes. I think on the basis of last season, he wasn't, because Kai Havertz was taking up the space. Don't know what it is with Kai Havertz. I think with the idea that Chelsea, if they go sign Evan Ferguson, that's great striker for the future. Someone to actually hold the fort down for a fairly long while yet. But if problems remain at Chelsea, does Evan Ferguson really fix those issues? As good as he might be, as much potential as he might be or might have, does he actually fix anything with Chelsea? Not to say that an Evan Ferguson signing would be bad. I think that would be a great signing for whoever makes it. But does it fix, for Chelsea's case, does it fix their problems? On Newcastle, do you think they are just having a blip, or are they not as good as they seem to be last season? I think last season there was definitely a lot in the way of chill out, there's no pressure, just go do your stuff. We'll have a basic game plan, just follow, just you know, just follow what's on the game plan. It's simple stuff, but just show some heart, some passion, some fight, right? Some grit in your performances. And Newcastle did a good job for what they had last season, right? This season, they've added a couple of good key elements in their team to, I think, take them up another level. The games that they've had this season are not ideal. They are not ideal. 3 of the 4 games, actually, no, all 4 games are tough, very tough fixtures on paper. I mean, Aston Villa at home, Unai Emery team, you'd think they should come with a challenge. Newcastle blew them out the water. Next game, Manchester City away. How many teams are going to win at Manchester City away? Very tough game. Newcastle didn't get thrashed or demolished. They got beat quite closely. And some Newcastle fans said, "Oh, we should have done this, we should have done that in the game, and it would have been a different result." Yeah, closer to a final margin sort of game. There you go, Liverpool at home. That game should have been won in half an hour of it kicking off. It should have been won in half an hour. Get the early goal. A player gets sent off in Virgil van Dijk. 10-man Liverpool at home. That game should be ending 4 or 5-0. At least 4 or 5-0. They lost it to a 10-man team, right? They had about 65 minutes or 64 minutes to hold on. They won the game, did Liverpool. So Newcastle, perhaps showing a little bit of arrogance in the team. Now, if they humble themselves, go again, but this time, throw everything you've got at these games. Everything you've got. Brighton they go off to Brighton and they get slapped around. It's like Brighton at the Amex is always going to be a tough game. But I think that a bit of sluggishness in Newcastle to not get the gears turning as such. I think there's a little bit of cobwebs that need to be dusted off a bit for Newcastle. I think if they get an easy enough game to play, they should make a return back to winning form. And I think Newcastle, they will turn things around. I want to believe that they'll turn things around and start a sort of charge, a late charge, back up the table. It has been a very torrid start. It's somehow even worse than Manchester United's, with all things considered. But I think that there's definitely, they've got time is on their side. They've just started badly, and usually a team that starts badly, they won't stay bad for the whole season. Well, unless you're Chelsea, of course. But I think Newcastle, they have got what they need to turn fortunes around. I think it might be a bit difficult with a group of death in Champions League as well. So I'll tell you what, if Newcastle get out of that group, they get out like first or second in that group, I'll be impressed. I will be impressed. But I think it's just a very, very tough start and some shaky legs and some cobwebs. Dust those off, and I think you should be able to turn things around. Here's a question for you both. What year were transfer windows introduced from open all hours scenario? I would like to go back to selling and buying at any time, no deadline sagas or dramas. Ooh. Let me, because I don't know off the top of my head. When were transfer windows introduced? So, in accordance to the Premier League, the transfer window system with the summer and winter transfer windows, the system that we know today was introduced in 2002, or was introduced for the 2002/03 season. So quite a while back, but I think that's the system that we know today. That's still being the same sort of system with the summer and January transfer windows. And I think I think with most people as well, they're sort of like, yeah, but it's like an example of seeing the constant, like, oh, other transfer, if the transfer window were open for X amount of time or just forever, you'd see this sort of looming threat that you currently see with Saudi Arabia potentially nabbing Mohamed Salah, or someone coming in for Jadon Sancho when he has a falling out in the squad. Quick question, I can't remember. It seems a long time ago. I definitely agree the transfer windows need to be gone. I definitely think it. I'll tell you what, the board of Manchester United and the Glazers and all of that stuff will be absolutely fucked if that were to happen. If the windows were scrapped and gone rid of, those guys will be finished, because that means that they've got to be busting their asses all year round. On Everton, is this the season they finally go down? Surely they can't keep escaping. It's got to catch them soon enough if they don't get their act together. I think with Sean Dyche, what I was expecting was to see a stubborn team. I was wanting to see Everton be stubborn with Sean Dyche, but to me they haven't shown a level of stubbornness, and it's strange because even if they haven't got a great defence, the midfield they've got in front of them should be doing more than enough to compensate their defence. I suppose their attack is nothing to write home about. Obviously, Dominic Calvert-Lewin's injured at the moment, so that's not good. But it's like they've got nothing really to offer going forwards. But their midfield perhaps doesn't show enough of that stubborn fight to essentially keep clean sheets for Everton. I know they haven't. I don't think that Everton have been absolutely destroyed yet this season. But they will definitely want to do better performance-wise. Okay, so their only battering really that they've had was Aston Villa away. But everybody else, they've either lost by 1 goal or drawn 2-2 with Sheffield United. Beat Doncaster in the EFL Cup. But yeah, 3 draws on the bounce. No, 3 losses on the bounce and then a draw against Sheffield United away, which, to be fair, Sheffield United, they are doing better than I expected them to. I thought I had them, predicted them to be rooted to the bottom of the table. I didn't see how on earth Sheffield United stay up with the fact that they sold some key players to promotion rivals of all teams. That's mental as it is. But I think they've just got to show some fight, some grit, be stubborn on the football pitch, make yourselves hard to beat, make yourself frustrating to play against. Classic Sean Dyche Brexit football that frustrates teams, and make your home a bit of a tough place. Maybe not so much a fortress, but just a tough ordeal, a tough away day. And I think Everton should be fine to staying up if they do that. But whether they do it or not, we'll have to see. I think it's all about Liverpool. I believed, based off of the summer, right, with Liverpool, that these guys were going to have a tough time. They're going to have a rough ride this season. They weren't going to be as poor as they were last season. I thought that they'll probably play some good stuff this season, but they weren't going to have the makings of the squad to actually take mount a title challenge, or maybe they'll struggle to get into European positions. The way that they've started this season, I think has taken me off guard. I thought the first game against Chelsea, I mean, that's just a cursed fixture as it is, because that game seems to always end up in a draw. It's, I suppose, with Liverpool, they're missing certain players from that squad. They're missing a proper DM player. Alexis McAllister is currently the person that's sort of filling that role right now. But what I suppose is interesting to me with Liverpool is that they've shown a side to them this season where it's like there's massive hope now. I think Liverpool fans are feeling quite hopeful now. I think they've got a much brighter aspect on this season that they're about to go into, compared to how it was before a ball had been kicked. And I think Alexis McAllister doing actually a fairly good job. I think what was it? Trent Alexander-Arnold against Aston Villa was just, that was ridiculous. Just got a free reign of Anfield. I think Salah, Nunez is probably going to find his feet a bit more so this season if they play some good stuff. I think Nunez could have a bit of joy at last this season. I think Diaz could do a really good job on the left hand side for Liverpool this season. I think Salah probably will be quite influential in goals contributions. I suppose the question really is he going to stay? Because there's a £215 million bid set to be popped on the table if it hasn't been done so already. The question is he staying? Is he going? What's happening with Mohamed Salah? Everton need to make home form solid. They do. If Liverpool lose Alisson and Everton lose Pickford, both will struggle. Obviously, Everton more so. I think Pickford definitely makes some big saves or has some big performances on results. I think some ridiculous saves, but I think also Pickford is prone to a mistake or an error of judgment. I think Alisson would be I think a more significant loss to Liverpool than Everton losing Pickford. Because with Alisson, the guy gives so much. You do so much. I mean, so the Newcastle game, Alisson on his own stops Liverpool from conceding some mad amount of goals. Pickford don't really matter. I mean, Pickford, whoever else it is that plays instead of Pickford's going to have shots galore at them. I think usually it's like with De Gea for United, when we play defensive football, you get faced with 30 shots every game or something. You're bound to have some performances where you look good and look really alert. So I think if Liverpool were to lose Alisson, that'd be big. But I'll tell you what, if Liverpool lose Salah for the right hand side, it's not like if they lost Salah early in the summer transfer window, they got money to go and address the problem. If they lose Salah without being able to replace or bring players in to compensate for that loss, that right hand side is going to look a little bit rough for Liverpool in the attacking elements of the game. Your thoughts on the Premier League being split into two leagues, North and South? A line on the Midlands decide which a Midlands team enters. Winner of the North and South play a final to decide champion. I don't personally like that idea, just because it's like it feels very Americanish. Because I'm pretty sure that they have like an East versus West thing, where it's like two separate leagues that go on, and then there's like halfway through a season they go into one sort of like top half of each league competes in the final leagues, and then they decide the champion based off of that. I just feel like it would be less travelling for away fans. It would. It would be more money kept in the pocket. There would be more money kept in the pocket. But then again, Manchester United fans would probably have it roughest because most of us come from London in the south. Or abroad. Most of us come from abroad. There's not really a lot of us coming from Manchester. So it'll probably be a nightmare for United fans doing way more travelling than anybody else. Christ almighty. But yeah, with Liverpool, I think they've got things to be positive about, right? I do. I think they've got things to be positive about. Obviously, they're not happy with their ownership. I think can't disagree with anything about the fact that FSG, not great ownerships. The fact is that their penny pinching is costing Liverpool from actually spending what they need to spend to get the right sort of quality player in and to prime that squad to what Jurgen Klopp needs to actually go and compete. But I think with Jurgen Klopp, the fact that he's being dealt lack of quality and options, and that he's almost having to force his hand to try and change things to just compensate, and the fact that he's still getting some good performances from this team, I mean, yeah, it speaks volumes on Jurgen Klopp, I guess. It does speak volumes on Jurgen Klopp. It's whether he keeps that going, and if he keeps it going for the whole season, hats off to Jurgen Klopp. If it falls flat on its face and crashes and burns, I can definitely see FSG out trending worldwide yet again. You can only spend what you need to spend of you have it. Oh, you can only spend what you need to spend if you have it. Do FSG have it? Well, I mean, Liverpool make a lot in revenue, right? Most Premier League clubs make a lot in revenue. It's just like one of the examples of this, I think, is when they showed their hand by sticking in a very big bid for Moises Caicedo and stuck a bid in, what was it, 50 million or something for Romeo Lavia. After both of those dilemmas, they still refused to stick any big bids on the table. I mean, they went on to sign Gravenberch deadline day. What was that? I can't remember. Was it 34 or 43 million? I think it was about 43 million pounds, wasn't it? Pretty sure it was about 43 million pounds. It took them till deadline day to actually put money on the table for a midfielder that, technically speaking, they've still not signed. I mean, Endo is the only recognised defensive midfielder at Liverpool. The only recognised defensive midfielder. Man. My, oh my. Let's not forget Liverpool went toe-to-toe with City with not as much money. Arsenal gave City a good challenge with not as much money. I don't fully agree. You need loads of money to compete with City. In various cases, you don't need lots of money. you need money well spent. You need money well spent, but you need money well spent every time, right? You need money well spent every time. If you can get, it's like with Michael Edwards at Liverpool. See, Michael Edwards, I think, is starting up some football agencies thing, or can't remember what it was, with some other former Liverpool colleague. Uh, and a lot of Liverpool fans were just like, "Oh, I wish he was coming back. I wish he was," because I mean, working under FSG with penny pinching, the fact that the guy still managed to build a team for Jurgen Klopp that went to win Champions League, a domestic cup double, and the Premier League. I mean, it tells you what you need to know. As long as the people that are doing the job in the boardrooms are good enough, then crappy ownership. Almost. I mean, crappy ownership. It's like is going to have its big, big, big drawbacks, and I think with various aspects. I mean, if you've got bad ownership, it's like when one good thing comes to an end. It's like the saying goes, is that all good things come to an end. Michael Edwards, when he left Liverpool, FSG could have done something good for the fans by bringing someone else in that's fantastic at their job, to running club operations or the transfer committees or whoever, and carried on from where Michael Edwards left off, right? I think if they'd done that, probably would be in a better position now than they were previously. Spend what you have wisely, which in fairness Liverpool usually do. I'll tell you one thing, that since Michael Edwards have left, they've done a lot more activating release clauses. I think they're McAllister and Szoboszlai, both of those transfers were done with the release clauses. I think Endo was just a really cheap and easy deal to do. I think Gravenberch was another, not he wasn't a release clause, but actually commanded a little bit of a fee. But it's a fairly good signing. But is it what Liverpool need? Sorry, Juminho. I'm talking about some buzzwords that might trigger you a bit. We're talking about other clubs and Liverpool. Talk about Liverpool, so we might get a bit of a rant. Juminho rant in chat, say liquidate those fuckers. And I'm judging that things aren't going too well for your national team, Juminho. I see. Things aren't going too well for you. So yeah, lost 2-0 to France. Well, it is France. It is France. I mean, I think you could expect to get battered against France. I mean, front four of Mbappe, Griezmann, Ousmane Dembele, and Olivier Giroud against a back five of Brown, Stevens, Egan, Collins, and Duffy. Oof. Oof. Ooh. Not looking good. Not looking too good. Sorry, I'm late. I was just watching Shambolic's performance in my dreadfully, woefully shite national team. Liverpool fucking idiots. Can't stand their fan base thinking that the world revolves around their club liquidates. The sooner it happens, the better. There it is. There it is. Let it flow. Let the hate flow, Jimmy. Let it flow. Duffy is class. Shane Duffy. I mean, what club is it that Shane Duffy plays for? Plays for Norwich. Plays for Norwich. Got a couple of Norwich players in there. Ida as well. Yeah, it's never really going to bode too well team like that going up against the French. The French. How dare France do that to the Irish? Exactly, Tony Ibarra. Big ups to you, mate. Cheers, Tony. Cheers. The pint of Nesquik is out. Pint of Nesquik is out. It's out on the streets. Big ups to you too. I tried to be calm, Hot Fuzz, but I had to watch Alan Brown, so it's never good. Adam Ida is shambolic. I think most players in the Irish national team are shambolic. Most players nowadays. I mean, Evan Ferguson, probably by far your best quality player for your national team. So who else is there really that jumps out? I mean, you've got Hendrick, right? You've got Jeff Hendrick, 31 years of age. What is it? There's someone I was going to compare him to as a joke. There was someone I was going to compare him to. I cannot remember what his name was. It's the guy that used to do Soccer AM or Soccer. No, yeah, Soccer AM. The guy that did that skit where he's doing those like Premier League like player things where he's doing those really weird walk-ons with like, you know, nipple high shorts or something. Can't remember who it was. Ida, Will Keane, and that scumbag Aaron Connolly all played up front today. All of them were spineless, have combined a total of zilch international goals between them. Doesn't help that Ferguson, Johnston, Coleman, and Doherty were all injured. I would cheer on any team that is versus France and often do. I must admit, I have been neglecting international football of late. It's not exciting as it used to be, I don't think. It's not. You get all of these friendlies, and it's like the international breaks. I never like the international breaks. I never like them because it just disrupts things. It's like a distraction. It is like a distraction. Are you seriously trying to convince me Jeff Hendrick is competent? What do you mean? What do you mean? It's like I'd rather have Jeff Hendrick on the Ballon d'Or's nominees than Jude Bellingham or something. No, Aaron Connolly stubs his toe next time he gets out the shower. If this was any other day, I'd be holding in my anger. I'm really sorry. I guess my comment helps the algorithm. It does. It does. It absolutely does. Jeff Hendrick is the second worst midfielder in Irish history. Oh. Do I even want to ask who number one is? Do I want to ask who number one is? Being told some updates about Twitter. Shut it. Apparently someone's saying that Sofiane Amrabat is injured and has been replaced in the Moroccan national team. Bullshit. Bullshit. I hope Aaron Connolly wakes up in the middle of the night tomorrow and steps on an upturned plug, steps on a block of Lego. Step on a brick of Lego. Glenn Whelan is a close third. The real question is, do I want 7 or 8 Jaminho hate comments about shambolic Irish midfielder or not? Up to you first. Go and fill the comment section with all of the anti-Irish player propaganda that your heart can handle, Jaminho. God, Rossi, big ups to you, mate. Take it you're feeling a bit stiff after watching Ireland try and take on former world champions France. Have to watch Kylian Mbappe tearing at your defence for 90 minutes. Is it his back? I don't know. It's literally come out in the last minute or so, apparently. I'll tell you what it could be is he's gone on international duty and got a call from Erik ten Hag. It's just like, I want you to fake an injury, bud. Oh, you come back, stay fit. We've already got enough injuries as it is. Stay fit. Just injure yourself on international duty. Maybe that's what happens. He'll be replacing the Moroccan national team because he's injured. He'll go back to Manchester and he'll be running around on Carrington after 3 days or so. I'm hoping that's the case and that he's not got like a serious back injury that's just out for like 4 or 5 months or something ridiculous. Smash the fuck out of them likes. Smash the granny out of them likes. We're up to 6 likes. Let's go, people. And I believe it's also, what is it? 3 subs? I was 2 subs off of 100. Am I 2 subs? No, I'm now 3 subs off of 100. There are people unsubscribing. What is this? This absolute madness. Evening again, Carl. All the regulars popping in for last orders. Absolutely. I'm not going to be live for too much longer. We back again. Conor Hourihane, that's it. It's a shambolic twat. One of the worst players I've ever watched. Words cannot comprehend my hatred of Conor Hourihane. It's absolutely dreadful. Cheers, guys. Well, in fairness, Hopper's Duffy did fairly well against Mbappe. There you go. Conor Hourihane is with the whole goal to aim for at 3 yards out against Slovakia, and the gobshite hits it straight out. Hits it straight at the only Slovakian player. Conor Hourihane, 2 mistakes in 2 minutes against the mighty Armenia. Almost got us relegated from the Nations League if it wasn't for a 93rd minute penalty. See, that right there, for a 93rd minute penalty, every cloud has a silver lining, Jaminho. Every cloud has a silver lining. There's always hope. There's always a chance. Believe in Conor Hourihane. There we go. And in the Nations League before that, then Hourihane makes a mistake against Bulgaria, which would have resulted in relegation if Shane Duffy's father condom didn't burst. Oh, Christ. Crikey. I'll finish today. We'll finish today's stream with the last chat on another club. Let's go with Arsenal. Let's finish today's chat with Arsenal. Now, what camp would you say Arsenal fans are in with where they are at currently? What sort of camp are you guys in? Are you in a camp that, we've beaten Manchester United, we played some good stuff, and that is sort of the kick-on point now to sort of really get into the season? Or is it like it could be a false dawn that we, somewhat fortunately got lucky against United at the very end of the game and took our 2 chances late in the day to hand us a nice looking 3-1 victory, and that we've got to really just keep an open mind to what could potentially happen. One of us is the best looking Man U fan we know. Oh, God. Even with this massive 5 head, this high level IQ 5 head that's on my shoulders. That's enough hate comments. Sorry for the span off us. That's so good. It's all good, especially in football. I mean, it's like if I were to go into someone's chat and start talking about each individual problem, Manchester United, I would get to about a tenth of the way through of all the problems, and I would probably get banned from a channel for spamming. So trust me, there's always a lot to get off our chest. But he's the only tolerable United fan we know. The only tolerable United fan. What, is Saeed not tolerable? Is Terry not tolerable? Is Rants? Is Rants not tolerable? Is Sarcasm City not tolerable? I mean, I'm not going to ask you about Mark Goldbridge. I'm sure he's completely intolerable to half you guys. So I know he's very much an internet personality now. He's literally a proper YouTuber personality running a massive football YouTube channel. But I mean, if it's factually I'm the most tolerable United fan, then sick, cool. I'll never forget the second time Man United gave a shit. Yeah, it had to come out from somewhere. I was supposed to play Starfield all night. Instead, you legends keep me distracted with your awesomeness, for fuck's sake. So big ups, man. Big ups, man. I know some games are definitely worth, it's like you want to. It's like with me in Counter-Strike. It's like everyone has got the new Counter-Strike 2 beta releases, right? Because they've got to do the 3-tick checklist, right, to qualify to get an invitation. I didn't have all the checklists completed, but I got them all completed, and I'm still waiting a whole 3 to 4 days later for my invitation, Counter-Strike, and you still ain't giving it to me. What's going on? I've jumped through all the hoops for you, right? I've got everything I need to be invited, and you still ain't invited me. What's that? What's this about? I'm absolute madness. Yeah, they're decent. Goldbridge is clapped. He's a Dahlia apologist. That says it. Well, listen, because the second someone says something positive or nice about David De Gea, I know straight away they get pinned up on like those hit list walls, right, where you have the pictures of people pinned up on a wall on a drawing board, and you got like pins and these like thread lines all sort of attached. It's like the Assassin's pin board or something. I know that anybody that talks about anything that you hate in a positive light is on your death note book, shall we say. You are a big part of that legendariness. Big ups to everybody. But yeah, with Arsenal, what do we think? Personally, with Arsenal, I thought as much as they won the game against United, I thought that they were relatively toothless, right? I thought they were relatively toothless in the first half specifically, and then for a big part of the second half. I thought there's no real cutting edge. Obviously, with the Erdegaard goal, fantastically worked goal. For the chance that you needed to take, you took it well. I think, fantastic goal. But I think every other aspect of the performance I thought was a little bit on the lacking side. It's not the same relentless Arsenal that we'd seen. Like, if it was relentless Arsenal of last season, that probably would have been a 3-4-5-0 or 5-1 Arsenal result. Like, that would have been. But to be honest, I mean, Nketiah starting, Havertz starting. I mean, Christ almighty, that miss from Havertz was... Oh, wow. There's bad misses, and then there's just that. there's Kai Havertz. Kai Havertz, literally, it's like when you make a tier list, you've got all of the tiers right down to the bottom tier. You actually make another one that doesn't actually count, but because it's so bad. And then Kai Havertz, it's literally, you name that tier list, that bottom one, Kai Havertz, you literally name it that. But any of you seen Flying Pigs United reactions? Yeah. I've seen plenty of those. It's not that I hate hair, it's just I realise you, because years ago, Shambolic, his form took a massive dip after the shambles of the 2018 World Cup and never recovered it. Well, I know the later years he definitely lost a certain edge to him. Heading off, lads. Love you all. God bless. Have a blessed evening. God bless to you, Carl Rossi. Enjoy your evening. Well, hope you go and enjoy a bit of Starfield. I suppose that's probably what you're doing. Enjoy some Starfield, Carl Rossi. But big ups to you, mate. Thank you very much for tuning in. I think the result paints a fake picture. Game was fairly evenly balanced. I think a draw would have been fair, but if anyone deserved to win it, it was us. Yeah, I fully agree with that. And I think it's the added time. I mean, we did not do enough to deserve to win the game. I thought it was actually quite unlucky with our offside goal. I think it was really, really unlucky. Garnacho just got the timing on his run just a little bit wrong. Just a little bit wrong. But anything, even if it was slightly, if we had scored that goal, we would have gone on to win that game. Personally, I believe we would have gone on to have won that game, or at the very least drawn it. I wouldn't have said that we'd have lost that game. The thing that really annoys me is that when we got to the 90 minutes, we just shut shop. We shut up shop. We just stopped playing. I know, even with Maguire and Evans' centre back partnership, you can still, do a lot on a football pitch. You can still push to put in a good performance. I mean, you would have thought that because Maguire was a sub and because Johnny Evans was a sub, they'd come on, they would have lots of energy. They're constantly pressing, closing around down. Any danger, they'll straight out to it. Sort out the danger, get rid of the danger. Prioritize getting a result across the line. They stopped caring. And for me, Arsenal, fortunate that we gave up. Very fortunate that we did give up. But when they have the chances presented to them, they take them, and that's what Arsenal did. Take your chances, score your goals, and I think that's basically it. To put it simply, Arsenal result at the end of the day, before the 90th minute, you say, yeah, okay, one result, cool, no problems, right? Cool, it's a fair result. It is a fair result at the end of the day. But then the 90th minute happened, and then we deserved to lose. That's just the way it was. It really, really just peed me off that we lost the game that way. It's like, if we'd lost it, but we'd given something, that we had tried to win a game, I won't sit there and say, you know what, that's disgraceful. I'd say, well, we tried something, didn't work. It's an away game. They played a better game, and at the end of the day, can't really have too many complaints with it. But the fact that we had a result that was fair and then gave up and lost the result from then onwards. But I think the back four that you played with that game, the back four that Arsenal played with, I think that should be the same defence that plays moving forwards. For me, it's got to be the same defence. Ben White right back, Gabriel Saliba, Zinchenko. That back four was the back four that you got quite a lot of joy from last season, right? Got a fair amount of joy from it last season. I think it's the midfield that's going to be your biggest problem. So there's understanding what are you going to do with that midfield. If Thomas Partey comes back into this Arsenal team and goes straight back to the right back position, Mm. Mm. Then we're going to. I think then we're going to see some problems. I think that's when the questions really are going to start for Mikel Arteta um, by the wider fan base, not by you guys, because I know you guys are already, got big questions. Um, Kai Havertz makes Callum Robinson and Odion Igalo look good. Tell you what, Odion Igalo scored a banger goal in Europa League. If Big T remembers it as well, banger goal. Switched the feet and just volleyed it on his left, right straight into the roof of the net. Worst goalie in the league last season if Danny Ward didn't exist, despite getting Golden Glove. Saw some absolute retarded United fan draw some fake diagonal lines from the wrong direction with some curves in the middle of them. Just accept you lost, mate. It's the fact that they'll never take the accountability, mate. They will never take the accountability. They don't want to acknowledge that United aren't as good as they want them to be, right? They just can't accept it, and that's the problem. Is a lot of fans are guilty of this now. A lot of fans. If VAR does anything in a game, anything in the game, straight away, that's the reason we lost. It's as simple as that. That's the reason we lost. End of story. I expected us to lose before the game. I can't take the losses. I can take the losses. What I can't take is the manner we lost. We give up. Yeah, absolutely. That was our best available team minus Kai Havertz, and look what happens. We beat an actual good team. Well, I mean, maybe Gabriel Jesus starting for you. Gabriel Jesus plays. I'll tell you who else should have come on in that game. Who I was dreading one player coming on, right? Just one. Leandro Trossard. I did not want to see him come on because the way that we were defending that game, if there's one player that could go pickpocket that defense, was Leandro Trossard. And I'm surprised I didn't see Trossard once. Like, that was literally the only player that I was really dreading, and he didn't come on. Arsenal's midfield looked like prime Barcelona compared to ours. I think it's just the way that they played, that it's much more in control, much more well, it's actually funny because at the half-time whistle, it looked like it was all Arsenal, right? It looked like it was all Arsenal, but we actually had better possession stats than them. That's what's mental. We literally had better possession stats. But yeah, very, very peculiar. Our midfield is a problem. Unbalanced. Kai Havertz, a snake. An inverted right back, left back. It's a capitulation waiting to happen. Well, it's if you need a defense to be solid, if you need your defense to be solid and ride a storm, it's like if Liverpool, right, one simple breakaway from Eriksen and Rashford is enough to score a goal against you. That Liverpool team, if they are relentless against you playing that way, they're going to have a lot of joy. I mean, imagine that. Diaz. If Thomas Partey plays at right back against Diaz, fuck me, it's over. It is over. Jota or Nunez playing with a Ben White, Saliba centre back partnership. If Gabriel gets dropped back to the bench. If you're playing Zinchenko at left back, I mean, what happened at Anfield? Nutmegged Zinchenko. He's like, oh, I knew he was going to nutmeg me. Nutmegged you anyways. Didn't do anything about it. Salah's just going to come and nutmeg you again. Callum Robinson's shite as well. No. Any names that you make a comparison to about anything, I'll know is to do with the scales of how shite something is. Always VAR's fault. Yeah, VAR overturned an Arsenal penalty. Exactly. Don't forget a politician, Jimmy. If Trossard came on, we would have cooked you. Yeah. Dees should have been subbed on earlier. What's that? Reese! Reese! Oh, big up Ola. Big up Ola. Reese! I can't with that. Do you know what? I actually went back because I never actually saw that happen live. I actually went back to go and find, because when Lee was doing it, I was just like, man, that must have sounded really funny, because the way Lee says it is actually hilarious. It's so Reese. I was just like, wow, okay, I've got to go find the original clip of this and see how, like, well, it was nowhere, like, when Ola was just like, Reese, I was like, okay. But the way Lee Gunner said it was absolutely hilarious. Trossard is a game changer. I love him. He is a game changer, but your manager just ain't interested. He just don't want to know about it. So I think is ridiculous. Luis Diaz is overrated anyways. Best left winger in the world, apparently. No, it's easy. But for me, nowhere near the best left winger in the world. But it's just his trickery with the ball at his feet. He's such a difficult player to follow. Not that he just sits players down, but he's just such a difficult player to follow. I think if you've got Thomas Partey already, it's like most left wingers or the opponents that Thomas Partey plays against are going to have a relatively easy day against him, right? A simple day against him. I just feel like with Diaz, he'll take Thomas Partey to the cleaners, man. He'll take him to the cleaners. How are Scott McTominay and Harry Maguire still contracted to Manchester United? I don't know. Jaminho, go ask the bloke that runs the decisions at Manchester United, who, by the way, I think I found. Where was it? Yeah, here we go. So the person who's kept Scott McTominay here and Harry Maguire here was overseeing those decisions being made, right? This same person did this. He allowed for this to happen. Manchester United made their former coach and convicted paedophile Jeff Konopka guest of honour at Old Trafford last season and celebrated his career despite him being banned from football. The club were unaware of the former women's coach that he went to jail for 4 years for offences against girls. The guy that decides for Harry Maguire and Scott McTominay to stay here let a convicted criminal for paedophilic activities be hosted as the guest of honour for a women's team's game. Don't sack him. Arrest him. Arrest Richard Arnold, for fuck's sakes. That guy is a fucking piece of shit. Honestly. Absolute piece of shit. And the fact that he allowed that to happen, and they come out and say that the club were unaware, but you celebrated his career. Why do you think he probably left his job, guys? Why do you think he would have left? Do you not think that he wouldn't have, news wouldn't have travelled? Is it like he does something, gets buried? Oh, don't worry about it. We'll bury that. Don't worry about his past. We'll only address it if it gets brought up, guys. Well, guess what? It got brought up, and now you're saving face. You're not saving face with me. You're not saving face with me. Mate, if you were to get sacked or leave a job, I was just like, look, you weren't fit for the job. You weren't suited for the job. Go find where your skills will actually be appreciated and where you can actually do a good job. Just not here at a football club. You're not cut out for it. The fact you let a convicted paedophile, literally a guy that has been banned from football permanently, walk in to a women's team's game despite sexual offences against underage girls, right? And have him as guest of honour. You fucking twat. You fucking twat. Honestly. You don't even get the benefit of the doubt, honestly. I will hate you. I will hate you after you have gone. Any mention of Richard Arnold after he's left Manchester United, I will continue to hate on you. I will continue. I will follow you to your grave. You scummy fuckwit bastard. I actually didn't watch the Reese live either. I had a strange feeling something would happen, so I turned off the stream and turned on notifications. I went mental a minute later. Mate. Who wins Ballon d'Or? I'm going Rodri, clutch player. I don't actually know. I think something tells me that the favoritism type kind of vote would be in favor of Messi, even though he's not actually, done crazy things with a team or anything. It's just like, I think people love him too much to not vote in his favor. I think it's one of those things where he's like now established as the GOAT, the greatest of all time, that perhaps would carry him to getting the Ballon d'Or, vote and stuff. So, well, I mean, I really don't know. Liverpool fans tend to overrate all of their players, yet when an opposition fan says something, then Liverpool are immediately in there to shut down a valid and formally factual argument. Fairs, yeah. Probably Haaland. I mean, it's probably going to be Haaland versus Messi for Ballon d'Or, and I'll tell you why Messi might pipe it to Haaland. It's not because of it's not to do with the amount of trophies, right? It's probably not going to be anything to do with the amount of trophies that are being won by respective parties. It's probably going to be because Messi won the World Cup, and that's it. Messi wins the World Cup. He gets hailed as the greatest of all time. Straight away, world football is just like, we hail Messi now. Haaland, you might have scored 40 goals in your first season, right? You might have won a treble, right? But we are all Messi stan accounts. It's probably going to go. That's probably the way it's going to go. Is Ballon d'Or for best goal scorer or best overall footballer? Haaland's Oscar goal machine, but there are better footballers. There are. And to be fair, Messi is a better footballer to this day than Erling Haaland is. Maguire gets too much hate, but he's still not good enough. McTominay is way worse. De Gea was way worse as well. Martial is way worse. Well, I mean, Maguire comes onto a pitch, you lose a game. McTominay comes onto a pitch, you look a little bit more shaky. That's kind of it. 100%. Ballon d'Or is heavily attacker biased, so probably will be an attacker. Yeah. Man United's PR team must be delighted right now. So much PR, but none for the right reasons. Well, the people writing the stories for the club are probably enjoying the paydays they're getting. They probably could give less of a fuck that everyone's stressing out about all these other matters going on. If I see Jorginho's tubbing off on me. Jorginho's rubbing off on me. Well, I mean, it's just the fact that we see what's going on. So I ain't got no problem with, well, I mean, I could do an England national team rant with Gareth Southgate because, I mean, I fucking hate the fact that he's our manager and he's literally wasting a generational talent. But the reason why he's still in the job is that everybody that isn't a football fan, right, that decides, you know what, I'm going to start supporting the England national football team when they're playing in the tournaments. So you get all of these people that don't care about football, right, saying, let's go Southgate, like, fuck all the players. Let's go Southgate, forget the players. Let's go Southgate. it's like women will go out and buy waistcoats for the fucking sake of it. They'll pin it up in the window with like a cardboard cutout or a paper cutout of Gareth Southgate. They probably get a blow up sex doll of Gareth Southgate, strap him in a little waistcoat, a little bit double breasted, and make love to it whilst the husband's trying to get to sleep right next to her or something. It's like, the fuck are these people coming from? Like, why? Why is Southgate such a god to you? It's like, what the fuck? So, second coming of Christ could literally be walking across water to you, and you could be like, oh my god, Jesus is walking towards me over water. But Gareth Southgate is there wearing his waistcoat. Oh, yeah. Like, makes no fucking sense. Really doesn't. Yes, the real GOAT Shane Duffy was excluded from the Ballon d'Or shortlist. I guess they got to keep it fair, though. Put competition out the waters. Cristiano Ronaldo's not there. You know, I think for probably the first time he's not actually been included in the Ballon d'Or shortlist. I think it is that case, anyways. World Cup was rigged. Ballon d'Or is rigged. To be fair, it probably is to various extents. Ballon d'Ors are overrated. Farmer Magazine awards, anyway. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, there's much more prestigious attaining the awards for Chelsea's Goal of the Month awards. Now, I think that's much harder to win than the Ballon d'Or awards. So, World Cup is the only thing keeping Messi and Ballon d'Or debate. I'm a Messi fan, and yes, he is the GOAT, excluding Shane Duffy's existence, but Ballon d'Or should be Haaland, in my opinion, or maybe Rodri. Messi is the Lance Armstrong of football. MLS, Messi loves steroids. Yeah, I want to see this Gareth Southgate rant off us, mate. There's plenty more where that came from. Trust me, when I watch it. Do you know what? If Being Sport allows me to do a watch along for England, I will do it just to spite it. Literally, we'll do a hate along. We'll do a Gareth Southgate hate along. Literally, I'll just do a watch along to spite Gareth Southgate. Let's do that. I'm an ultra for Arsenal, Celtic, Ireland, England's opponents, and whoever's playing Rangers cannot stand English national team. Your number 4 is a prick. I don't need to ask who number 4 is. We all know who that is. First time since 05, Ronaldo wasn't in the shortlist. Nope. And I'm kind of gutted because it's symbolic to being the end of a generation, a defining generation of football. That Cristiano Ronaldo is now no longer at the top echelons of football. His influence in the game might be very, very strong and undeniable, but his time at the very, very top is done. I think Messi will soon follow. By the way, I'm saying Rodri deserves it, and I'm a huge, huge, huge Rodri hater. Rodri is an absolute prick. I can't stand him. Absolute scumbag. Score 808 is free streaming service. You can probably get the England game on there. Maybe BBC or ITV Player, maybe something more. To be honest, with the with ITV or BBC, I know that they will put the games on those channels, but because I'll be up here, most likely, most probably, will be up here at my PC. I haven't got a TV up here. I've only got my PC with my dual screen setup, so it kind of has to be a website-based viewing or screening. Yeah, bit of trouble to watching a actual televised thing. But it is what it is. So, but anyways, that I think we shall call it a day there with the stream. About 2 hours 20 minutes. Quite a long stream, much longer than I was anticipating this would go on for. But it's been nice. It's been enjoyable. It's been, barring the start, was quite relaxed. It was quite chilled, quite easygoing. No dramas as such. Then again, being a United fan is a big enough drama as it is. I can watch on BBC website. I might have to have a look at that. If Being Sport doesn't have it, of course, and I might look on there. There's no such thing as Player, a legal website with all the legal channels. Wow. Not sure. I'll have to see what is out there. But yeah, I'm gonna wrap things up there. Um, People, big ups to everybody. Thank you very much for tuning in. Big ups to everybody that has liked the stream. Don't think anybody has subscribed, but let's have another double check. No, so still on 97 subs. So we are still close to 100. Still no cigar. Still no cigar with the breakthrough. Not quite there. So close yet so far. It's like that last 100 meters after you've just done the 800, and it's like you can see the finish line, but you're just like, I can go fast, and it's like, no, your legs are just like, no, you can't. You absolutely cannot go fast. So yeah, it is what it is. But we'll eventually get there, people. We'll eventually get there. So big ups to everybody who tuned in. Big ups to Big T Jamino, Carl Rossi, Tony Ibarra, Stephanie Griffith as well. Big ups to everybody for the chats and engaging conversation. It's always a pleasure. And we'll be seeing you again real soon. Big ups to Mino. Thank you very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And yeah, we'll be seeing you again. And cheers, Tony. Drinking this in your honor. Hope you're drinking something somewhat similar. You know, cheers to you, mate. And we are out skis. See ya until next time. Ciao for now.